Dr. Williams. This is Madeline with Clemson University calling about the gift card rewarding participation in the Food and Wellbeing Phone Survey. I saw you listed this as a good time to reach you, so I'll give you a call around this time next week. Have a great day. Bye.
That sounds good, and especially the speed that you were speaking.
Okay.
So one of the things that I have said that I have to be careful about, when I get rolling with this thing, I start talking fast, right? And sometimes, and we'll have a lot of older adults that, either fast talking is just not a good thing to do with them, or they have trouble hearing or whatever. And of course, we're doing this on the telephone, so that we already have a little bit of a barrier sometimes in understanding people. And so that the pace that you left that message, the pace that you were speaking is really, really good.
Okay.
And you might, maybe even especially so when you're leaving a message, even more so than doing the survey, probably.
And this is Madeline calling with Clemson University. Is that the organization that I should name?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I think everything that you said was good. It was about as short as it can be. The only other thing that I would say is that and you said I'll try to call you back this time next week. That's good. If you want to try to call them back, if it's early in the time frame, so let's say you can call them from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. and this is like the first call you make, but you miss them. You might say something like, I see I can call you between 5 and 8, so I'll try again later this evening. So that's an option, if that, again, if you were making that call and it was close to the end time to call them, then maybe try to do that the next week. But, if they're on your list and you're trying to tick them off, you might make a few more calls, knock another survey out, and then try them again. But if you left that message and just give them a heads up that you're going to try to call them back, I think that's good.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for that feedback.
Yeah.
I also have another question about the consent form. I kind of did the same thing and made just a tentative script of what I might say. And so I just want to double check to make sure, if I need to add or subtract anything.
All right, go for it.
So I would say, you are invited to participate in this survey assessing hunger, food insecurity, physical activity, stress, and community. Maybe community belonging, actually. This survey will last around 30 minutes. The purpose of the research is to better understand eating and physical activity behaviors in your community and how the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted this. You may choose not to answer any question, but I encourage you to answer all that you can. You have the right to stop this survey at any time, but that compromises the incentive gift card. Your information will be kept confidential, and a copy of this consent form will be mailed to you along with your gift card. Sound good? And then I would say, okay, Dr. Williams, let's get started.
Yeah, I would tweak that a little bit. I wouldn't use the word compromises.
Okay.
Just because, it's kind of a big word. The first sentence that you read, I would take out because right after you introduce yourself, there's another sentence that says the survey is about. So it's kind of like the same thing.
Okay.
And that second way that you said it when you're a little further into that script was a little more conversational. The first sentence, sounded more like IRB form language. And, but otherwise, I think that's pretty good. So if you send me that script, it'll probably be easier for me to look at that and send you a few edits, and then I can share that with everybody. But Cassius, you've been doing this already. So how, just kind of generally based on what she said about the IRB, how does that match up with what you're telling people? Or
I don't really reference IRB. I do tell them, like you said, like just if they don't want to answer a question, don't answer a question. If they're willing to complete the survey, I don't usually mention the gift card because I assume they either know about it or they're interested anyway.
So what's your language for the consent?
I pretty much follow the protocol. I say reject. You can reject the survey if you'd like. Please
Yeah,
answer as honestly as and accurately as you can. Yeah, I pretty much follow the script. I try to make it conversational.
gotcha. So pretty close to what she was saying, but you all have some freedom in how you can word that. But you just, you want to make sure that they understand that they can refuse any question. But you, like you said, Madeline, that was perfect. But I encourage you to answer as many as you can. You want to make the point that they can stop anytime they want to, but they need to understand that only if you finish the survey do you get the gift card. And it'll take about 30 minutes. That's good. That's a good thing to say. Fourth or
And
fifth
it will
point.
keep their answers confidential.
Yes, that, and fourth or fifth point that, somewhere you need to have the language telling them what the survey is about. So we're going to ask you questions about things you eat, about your exercise and walking, and your interactions with people in your neighborhood and community. And, if you want to mention the COVID-19 thing, I think that's appropriate as well. It's just kind of a heads up. IRB language that is required in a consent form always has some form of this is what you're going to have to do, or this is what you're going to expect when you participate in this research. And so that pretty much covers that. And you can knock that out really just in one sentence, like what is a survey about? But I think you've got all the elements there, but maybe just need to tweak that script just a little bit. So I'll send you my comments back, and then we can share that with others if they want to take a look at that and adjust what they're doing or use that. But you will find over time that, the first few interviews that you do, you might read that script fairly closely. But as you do it and it, becomes part of, you internalize it, it's just going to flow right out, just like anything else. And it'll be a lot more relaxed. It may be a little bit robotic at first, but that's normal. And then it'll just be part of what you do every time you call somebody. All right.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, so Madeline, did you say you sent me something to look
I
at?
did send you this, but I will tweak what I have a little bit since you gave me feedback, and then I'll send you that so we can
Okay.
do that.
Did you send me a link to a video of you going through?
No, sir, I haven't made one of those.
Okay, I thought you said that. Okay, all right. So who have you practiced with?
I haven't practiced with anybody. I've just kind of read it out loud in my dining room.
Okay. All right. Well, if you don't mind, just send me a recording of you doing a few sections of that. And the last time we met, I kind of highlighted, these three sections are sort of different, but they're similar to some other sections in the survey. So maybe just give me a sample of 3 parts of the survey. And if you want to send me 3 short videos, if it's easier for you to do it that way, there's so many different ways to share videos. And just let me take a look at that, and we'll go from there.
Okay, sure, will do.
Okay. So any questions, Madeline or Sam, about any part of the survey that you may be trying to figure out how to do, or it's not flowing as well for you as you would hope, or any sections of the survey that we can go right into and talk about?
I don't have any questions about the survey just yet. I'm sure once I start going through like the telephone interviews with actual people, I may have questions because they may they may just not understand something, or they may
Yeah.
answer it differently than I would have even imagined, right?
Yeah.
But I did have one question for, I guess, Cassius, which is, has anyone kind of, and because Madeline did a great job, but I think that, sometimes you get thrown what I would call curveball questions that have nothing to do with what you just kind of told them. And I know one question that I usually get is like, so what are you going to do with this data? Before they even begin anything, it's kind of like something that someone may want to know. I was wondering what kind of questions like that, if any, have Cassius gotten from people
Yeah.
after the survey?
So that is a perfect segue, and that is exactly where I wanted to go next. So Sam, we're like on the same wavelength every time we're in a meeting, dude. I think Cassius is rejoining. Maybe Cassius, can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just having internet issues.
Okay. So Sam just asked if there's any kind of unusual questions or even common questions that you're getting when you're doing interviews with people. Did you hear what he said?
No, I
Okay.
missed it, sorry.
Yeah, I thought you probably missed it. So he was asking about, like, for instance, people might commonly ask, what are you going to do with this information, that sort of thing. So that was his question. But one of the other things, and I'm just going to piggyback on that and throw this all at you at one time, I was going to ask you to share with the group, like, what you have learned from doing the surveys, like, and along the lines of what Sam is asking you. Are there some things that commonly come up with people when you're doing the survey that new survey staff need to know about? Are there any places in the survey where you have observed that maybe people have a harder time as a general rule than other places? And just any useful observations that you can share from your weeks now of doing surveys. What would you tell new people that are coming on board?
So yeah, people, something they have a difficulty with are the questions that say more likely, about the same, or less likely. So I just kind of I figure, and I know you guys might get on me for this, but I kind of figure that these are going to be coded into separate groups. So for some people, especially if the survey is going really slowly, I just kind of break those down into those three. I don't, say, are you much more likely, somewhat more likely? Because sometimes those surveys are going really slowly, and with an older person, for example.
Right.
Yeah, older people sometimes it's just, they just kind of go on their tangents, and it'll take 45 minutes, but it's not, if you can just kind of control the conversation, they kind of follow your lead, really.
Yeah. So those are great points, and definitely expect sometimes you're going to get a person that you're talking to that gets a bit chatty. They might tell you, about what they were doing with their friend the other day, and it just somehow relates to what you're talking about, and you get all this extra information. So you just have to kind of be patient and listen to that. But Cassius, I think maybe the COVID-19 questions, the response options are, so you're asking them, how often did you shop at the same stores for food before COVID-19 pandemic as compared to now? And then the options are much more often before COVID-19, somewhat more often, about the same, somewhat less often before COVID-19, and much less often before COVID-19. So that's 5 response options. So how are you reading that to the folks that you're doing the survey with?
So I'm just saying, are you doing this more often, about the same, or less often?
Okay.
Because it just, otherwise it would, yeah.
Gotcha. So you break it down into basically the 3 categories that we have here. So what you could do then is, if they say more often, you could follow up with a probe that says, would you say that's much more often or somewhat more often? And then you could zero in on that precise level of answer. But what you're doing is you're presenting it as 3 options instead of 5 to start with, which is less overwhelming. And then you can zero in on that answer as we have the response options here. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's just a little, you know, survey or interviewer technique that you would more than likely figure out along the way anyway. So what other things are coming up as you're doing surveys that you think would be important for new people getting started?
Well, I just want to answer Sam's question. What was I forgot what the question was exactly.
I was asking in particular, usually a question that people may ask, especially if they come to a section that they might feel uncomfortable asking. In my experience, has been like, so what are you going to do with the data? And it seems comes across a little confrontational with how they also ask it. It's not like really out of curiosity. Sometimes it feels a little combative. So I was wondering if you even had that question asked of you by people who surveyed.
Yeah, no one's really been concerned about that. The only people have been concerned about the income question, and most people are concerned about the income question and would rather not answer it. But besides for that, no, they're pretty open.
And that happens a lot with survey research. So one of the things we talk about, so let me go to that question because it's at the very end. And look, I went right to it. How about that? Is your household income from all sources? And we've got 8 different options here. So what I talk about in the training is that you don't ask them their household income and then read all 8 of these. You can ask them open-ended if they can tell you what is their approximate household income from all sources. And then if they give you that information, you can plug it in where it fits. So if they tell you, we make about $27,000 a year, well, you can just plug that right in to between 25,000 to less than 35,000, right? And so if they're not sure or you want to start out, you might ask them start on the lower end and say, is it more or less than $20,000? So you can probe them and try to move them in that direction if they're having trouble, coming up with it. And some people just don't know how much money they make. And that could be, again, and I've used this example, it could be because, you're talking to the wife in a family and the husband handles all the finances, or vice versa, frankly. So it could just be that they don't know. But as Cassius pointed out, you're going to get a lot of people who that's a very private thing to them and they don't want to share it. So you want to, if they tell you outright that they just don't want to give you that information, then that's that. But if they just need some help in answering that question, you can start by saying, is it more or less than $20,000? And I can plug it into the right category. That's one way to handle that. But, don't spend a lot of time on that. Try to get that information if you can. But, universally speaking, out of all the sort of standard survey response questions, this is one that oftentimes people just will not answer. And, we just don't push them.
And I think for the question regarding what are you doing with this data, I think there's a statement in the IRB that speaks to that. But I think you can also just say, Clemson, we're using this to help us with some assessment so that we can better or we can improve or we can better serve communities through our extension and service projects related to food and physical activity. It just helps us help your community better if we have a good understanding of your needs and what you guys want, or what you guys are your current behaviors or something like that. So I think I'd tie it back to some kind of statement around community assessment to help improving Clemson programming. Maybe just that, just say this is a good way for us to help assess the counties or the community so that we can improve our community-based programming out of Clemson.
And you don't even necessarily have to mention, and of course, Dr. Griffin didn't say this, but you don't have to mention Clemson Extension or anything like that. But just say that Clemson works in all counties in our state, and we're just trying to learn where we can do more to help people with basic things that are fundamental to health, um, and that's really all you need to see. And that's the truth. That's what we're trying to do here. As a matter of fact, along the way, we are connecting to some new community partners, and we're already through the survey activities and recruitment. We're connecting with new partners that we can work with to better serve communities. So, just as a quick example, we made a major connection down in the lower part of the state with an American Indian partner who's connected to the Catawba tribe and a bunch of other tribes in South Carolina. And so now there's opportunity to do some work specifically in that community, which is just, underserved for sure. There's just not a lot of specific programming going on with them. And so, that's a really good example. You don't have to get into that kind of detail, but I'm just telling you from a bigger picture standpoint. All right, so let me do a little bit more housekeeping here. Sam, have you completed your IRB yet?
I have not. I'm going to be meeting with Sarah a little bit later today, just to make sure, because we were coming up with a deadline that's the 31st, and so as soon as that we're good for that deadline, I'm right on it. It'll be done before the end of next week.
All right. Well, let's do this. Let me go ahead and make notes in here. Sam, once you start doing surveys, what are going to be the best days and times for you to do surveys?
I'm getting the sense that I'll probably be devoting a good chunk for maybe the first 2 weeks that I'm on.
Yeah.
To surveys is what I'm thinking, just because we're getting responses now, and we're trying to catch up as we transition with new surveyors.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't say it just yet, but I'll pretty much almost every day. I think I will, in the beginning, I'll be able to do things. And once I look at also what other people, what their time frames are, if there are time frames where we might just need more people, I might just choose this time slot as well. But I'm very flexible to be utilized to make this project successful.
So just so I can make your initial assignments, are you going to be limited to Monday through Friday? Can you do weekend calls? And is it evening, morning? When is best?
Like a Sunday to Thursday, maybe.
Okay.
And I can do about any time on Sunday, of course. And then I just don't know the people just yet, but I would probably say like either in the mornings or the evenings. I'm assuming that people might be busy during the middle parts of the day, but I'm also available in the afternoon too.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good enough. That's a good place for me to start. All right. So Madeline, what are your, I'm sorry, go ahead, Sam.
I was just saying, also let me know where you might need me as well.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll use that for initial assignments, and then in a week or so, we can dial that in a little better. And you might have to reach out to me and remind me to do that, but whenever you're ready and a more precise schedule, we can dial that in a little bit better. All right, Madeline, what days and times of the day would you generally be making calls?
Monday through Saturday, and then the times are all kind of messed up. So, but do you want me to read them out for each day?
How about you email it to me?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
If I can document this real quickly, we'll just do it right here. Caitlin, how about you? Oh, Caitlin's not with us today. All right. And by the way, everybody, Gracie Walls joined us. Let me see. There's Gracie. Gracie, say hello.
Hi.
Gracie is a biology major that reached out to me at the end of the summer and said, I'm looking for research opportunity. I like what you all do in public health. Is there something I can do for you? So my response to her was, thank you, hold tight. Let me see what we've got going on. And then we just, we had this huge need to add more surveyors. And she and I spent at least an hour, if not more, together on
Yeah,
a
I
Zoom
think it was like an hour and a half.
Yeah. And we just kind of went over the project and talked about the survey and that sort of thing. And she thought about it and said, I'm in. So welcome Gracie to the project. Gracie's certified. She's ready to start doing surveys. So Gracie, what are your days and times that you can do this?
It's Monday through Saturday, but like Madeline said, the times are different kind of every day. So would you rather me email them to you?
Yeah, just email.
Okay.
All right. And then Maya, I know that you've got to do your IRB refresher, but I can go ahead and make notes here. Is yours complicated too or straightforward?
No, it's pretty straightforward, but
Okay.
one question I have, where could I find like the IRB certification? Like where do I have to go about like finding
I'll
it?
get with you outside of this call, and there's a lot of stuff I need to connect you to. I need to give you the link to the Qualtrics online data entry, and we need to add you to the the box folder where you can access all the stuff that you need to access for this project, and things like which IRB training to do. I'll just get with you separately on that.
Okay. Sounds good. So my best days are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I can do from 9 to 5 all those days.
Okay. All right. Let's see. And then Cassius, do we need to take a fresh look at your available days and times since it's been a while?
Yeah, I'm pretty much free all day, every day except for Tuesday and Thursday.
Okay. No, choose Thursday and any time. So that includes weekends?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So let's see. I think that's everybody. All right. So Cassius is up and running and has been up and running. Sam is ready to go as soon as he finishes IRB training and does some more check-in with Dr. Griffin. So he'll be kicking off doing surveys starting next week, right? What'd you say, Sam? Yeah. All right. So Madeline, you're good to go. Gracie is good to go. And then Maya, you and I need to send you, I have an online training that walks you through everything about the survey and some important things about the process. I want you to watch that. Then I want the two of us to get together one-on-one in a Zoom call, probably like Monday or early next week. So give you time to, I'm going to give you access to the box folder where we've got everything. You can explore that. You can go through the recorded training that I have. And by the way, let me make sure. So you can go through some of that stuff, and then you and I will get back together to kind of wrap things up. And hopefully, by the middle or the end of next week, you'll be ready to go whenever you finish your IRB certification. Maya, what is your email address?
It's M and then LONGAC at g.clemson.edu.
Okay, got it. All right, and so I'm going to go in today, and for those of you that I have days and times that you're available, so this is very important here. I'm going to start making assignments for you, and Maya and Sam, I'm going to go ahead and make some assignments for you. They'll just be waiting for you, okay? So Dr. Griffin has asked me to make sure that everybody's got at least 20 assignments to start with. And our goal for you is to try to complete 10 surveys every week. Okay. Now, that's a target. That doesn't mean that if you don't get 10, you're in trouble, you kicked off the project or anything like that, because these things are variable. Okay. So, as I have said to all of you that I've done some training with already, there's going to be weeks where you're just like knocking it out of the box. Like you get everybody on the first call. They don't have any crazy questions. You just get through and, you might do 15 or 20 in a week. Who knows? And then there's going to be weeks where it's like, man, I'm getting all these disconnected numbers. The call drops in the middle of the server, like everything goes bad, right? And then most weeks are going to fall somewhere in between. You're going to have a mix of things. But just to kind of add some reality to that, Cassius, can you give us some idea of like how from week to week, what would you describe as a good week? What would you describe as a bad week? And what would you describe as a typical week when you're doing surveys?
Yeah, I guess a bad week number wise, I'm probably calling 5 people, 6 people. But let's say like I'm all moving towards the end, so I don't have many people left. I call 5 or 6 people, and I maybe get like 1 response, mostly voicemails, and I do that probably 3 or 4 times between the week, because you're supposed to call them 4 times. And a good week, like you said, I'm able to call 4 or 5 people and get them all.
Okay. So is 10 too big of a target, do you think?
No, it's just once you're in the second or third week, you only have like so many assignments left, so you've already done probably.
Gotcha.
I don't know how many you guys assigned really. I can't think of the number, but
yeah. So you're at the point where you don't have that many assignments left, so you don't have that many people to call.
By the second or third week, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm going to try to keep you all, once you get up and running, with 20 people that you can call at any one time. And that's going to fluctuate. It's going to vary, but you're going to have a steady list that you can call. And so we've got, at this point, I think I checked this morning and there were like 544 rows in our master list. But keep in mind that we've completed almost 80 phone calls, and there's some number of people in there that have disconnected numbers, or when we called them, they were very small number of few people refused to do it. So it's not like we have 544 people to call right now. Some of them have been done. Some of them are essentially lost. So we still have a good 400 some odd names, or close to 400 names to work from. And I'm doing assignments based on where they fall, going down the rows in the Excel file. And what that does is it just makes sure that the people who signed up sooner than the person that signed up yesterday, they get a call first. And it's just, following that general first come, first serve kind of thing. But we do have people that are waiting, and we've put the word out in the communities that, we've got a lot of names. We've had some staff turnover from summer to fall, and, we're making calls as fast as we can. But all you need to worry about is your little, don't worry about that big picture stuff. Those are things we have to worry about. All you need to be concerned with is those 20 people or so that you have assigned, and you just stay focused on that. Just know that at this point, there will probably be people who say something like, I signed up for this thing 3 weeks ago, and y'all are just now calling me. And if you run into that, just say, you can always go, I'm new to the project. Like I'm a new guy here, a new gal here. So I just got your assignment, and I'm just keep it positive. Just say I'm ready to do your survey. I'm sorry you had to wait, but we've had a lot of people sign up, and so we're getting to them as fast as we can. And I'm sure that'll probably diffuse it. But, there are some people, and I get phone calls. I've got a bunch of voicemails that I need to get through today, but I'll have people that will call and inquire about it, and they'll say, can you call me? And this might be like a Monday. Can you call me Wednesday at 9 o'clock? And I have to explain to them that it doesn't work that way, that I need to know when we can call you. And then I assign someone to call you who's available at that time. And it could be a few weeks from now before we even get to you, because we have a long list of people that we're trying to get in touch with in 9 counties in South Carolina. So, you just say it very politely like that. Let them know that we're working across the entire state in 9 counties, and we're just going as fast as we can. And if you want to add something like, we are so excited that we have this many people who want to, tell us about what's going on in their life and in their community. That's just kind of one of the ways that you can just sort of set a nice positive tone before you even get started. Does that make sense? So it's any of you that have ever worked in a customer service job, how many of you have? Just do a hand raise for me. This is that kind of skill set. Anytime that you've worked in customer service or worked with people, sometimes you have to be like super nice, but not fake. Don't ever do that, because people see right through that. You have to be super accommodating and super positive. And that's the kind of feeling that we want to leave people with when they do the surveys with us too. All right. So I've got what I need to do assignment. So just as a quick review, Cassius, I'm going to load you back up so you can keep rolling. Sam and Maya, I'm going to go ahead and give you assignments so you'll be ready to hit the ground running next week as soon as you're ready. Madeline and Gracie, I'm going to go ahead and give you some assignments, and then you can even get started today if you wanted to. It's totally up to you.
Dr. Williams, I do have a note about that. Also, I'm from Hampton County.
Yes.
And I know we talked about that last week, but I just want to make sure maybe I don't make those calls, because
Yes.
it's very likely that I might know them.
Yeah, and I do have that that note somewhere else, not to give you Hampton County assignments.
Okay, just
Yep.
wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you for the reminder. That's good. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to put that on here too, just so that's right there, and I can put those things together. All right, so other to-dos is, Maya, after this call, you're gonna get several emails from me. One is gonna be a box invitation. And so I'm gonna invite you to access the folder in Clemson Box, where you're gonna see a lot of files and you're not gonna have any idea what they are. But I'm gonna tell you what you need to access, what you need to look at immediately. I'm also going to send you a URL link to a recording that I put together that's sort of the universal training for new people that they can do on their own, and then we get back together and work through some details. So you and I are going to want to get together as early as possible next week, after you explore that file and after you listen to the recorded training that I've done. We'll wrap things up early next week. You might want to practice even over the weekend if you wanted to, with a parent or friend. Are you on campus or are you at home?
I'm at home, but I'm coming back to the area. I'm from Pennsylvania, so
Okay.
outside Philadelphia. But this weekend, actually tomorrow,
Gotcha.
I'm driving back down to the area. So
Okay. Yeah. So you can practice with anybody if you have a roommate or somebody who's willing to do that. And then, of course, Madeline's just been practicing doing it out loud, which is one of the things that I recommend. Even if you don't have someone, and you might want to practice on your own first, just reading it out loud. And the point that I made when we spoke last Friday with the smaller group was that It's one thing to read through the survey and become familiar with it, but to read it out loud, you'd be surprised at how differently it feels. Am I right, Madeline? She's shaking her head yes and smiling. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. And that's kind of an intermediate step for practice before you do it with somebody you know. And just, they have to kind of role play and act like they're actually really doing the survey with you. And then you should be ready at that point to actually call someone and complete the survey. So Gracie, let me check in with you. Have you been able to practice alone or practice with somebody at home?
I've been able to practice out loud, but not with
Good.
someone.
Okay. Would you agree that it's very different reading versus out loud?
I found it really helpful to print it out and write little notes on it.
Yeah. So you really get a feel for how it's going to flow when you read it out loud. Just little nuanced things that you wouldn't pick up on if you were just kind of reading it and practicing it without verbalizing. It's very different. All right. So I think that's it for today. Let me see if you all have any questions before we wrap up.
I can't see everyone. I want to talk over someone. This is Sam. I had a question about Labor Day weekend and what are our expectations? Are we going to survey during Labor Day weekend? Are we going to not survey? Just wondered if you had any thoughts about that as far as we're thinking about people being available and picking up calls and having some downtime.
Yeah. So I would never require or ask someone to work on, a holiday weekend like that. If you wanted to try to make calls, you could. I think a lot of the people that we have in our list, don't have like big major plans. I know some of the folks that I speak to when I follow up on voicemails, I know that it's, and this is not just who we're interviewing, but we get a lot of retired people and older people who are just stuck at home. And something like a Labor Day weekend is just another weekend for them. And frankly, for most of us, it's kind of another weekend at this point because of the pandemic. Like people just aren't traveling as much and so on. But if you have plans and you want some downtime, we would never ask you to work on a holiday or anything like that. It's up to you. So when you give me this time frame, or these are the days that I can work and these are the hours that I can work, I've said this before, I don't expect you to be, if you tell me you can work Monday through Saturday, I don't expect you to do that every single day. Because most of you are devoting about 10 hours a week total to doing these surveys. It's up to you to decide when to get your hours in, and you have to. For those of you that are being paid, you have to document that on your timesheets and that sort of thing. But otherwise, it's just up to you to make your own schedule. So that's a long-winded answer, Sam, but you don't have to work on holidays is the point. But at the same time, there will be people at home who could complete the survey on Labor Day weekend for sure. And, it's just going to be another weekend to them. All right. Any other questions? All right. I think this transition has slowed things down a little bit, but we're excited to have all of you on board now. Cassius is still with us. He's our core guy. He's our core survey dude. So Cassius, thank you so much for hanging with us. We appreciate all the work that you've already put in, and we're going to have a few more people joining us. And just another few little side notes for you. You're probably going to meet, as we do weekly check-ins like this, and I'll just keep setting it up for Fridays at 9 a.m. You're going to see a few new faces maybe over the next week or so, but also know that there's an entire class at Lander University who are which is in Greenwood, who are in a sociology class, a research methods class in their sociology program, who will be doing phone calls in Greenwood County. That's not to say that we won't be doing any calls in Greenwood, but they're going to be focused in that county. We have an assistant professor there at Lander who has connected, who wanted this a real opportunity for his students to engage in some actual data collection. So we've got a team, a pretty diverse team of people that are working, and we have translated. We've had the survey translated to Spanish, and we have a couple of people that we're working with who could potentially do those surveys for us in Spanish. So there's other things that continue to evolve with this project, and our goal this fall is to get as many surveys done as possible before December. And you all are a huge, important piece of that. All right. So we're all in kind of different places, but we're just going to move forward here. And if you ever need me, you know how to get in touch. Email's good, but you all should have my mobile number as well. So just look in my email signature if you don't have that handy. My mobile number's there. You can text me. It would actually be better to text me than call me because I'm also fielding calls for this project for people who are interested in doing the survey that I have to go through. So I usually clear those out and then they'll load back up again. So I've got about 20 voicemails to go through this morning to get caught up. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I think that should wrap things up, and I will send you all a link to this recording if there's anything that you want to go back through and review from today. All right. Okay. Thank you so much. Y'all have a great weekend and afternoon.
Dr. Williams, do you want to just pick a time now for Monday to meet one-on-one, because I don't have anything until 5:45 on Mondays?
Yeah.
So you just let me know what works best for you.
All right. So let me just check my schedule here on Monday. Yeah, Monday is pretty flexible.
I do have one team meeting for another group project that I just remembered about, and that's at 11:15. That's the
Okay.
only thing I have.
All right.
But that's not a typical thing.
Why don't we say 2:00?
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. All right. I'll plug that in.
Got it.
2:00. And I'll send you a Zoom link for that.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds perfect.
Okay.
Yep.
Welcome
Thank you
aboard.
so much.
Yes, thank you.
Have a good one. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.